If you were born in the year 1900, there was a 1 in 3 chance you would not survive past your 5th birthday. No vaccines existed for measles, polio, or whooping cough. A simple scratch from a rusty nail could turn into a fatal infection within days. The average life expectancy was just 47 years old. But here's what nobody tells you. That same person, if they survived, would know every single neighbor on their street, by name, by face, by story. They would sit down for dinner with their entire family every single night, without exception. They would fall asleep in complete silence, under real stars, with a mind that had never once been interrupted by a notification. You will likely live to be 80 years old, nearly double their lifespan. But ask yourself, honestly, right now, are you happier than they were? Today we are going to walk through an entire day, sunrise to sunset, exactly as it happened in the year 1900. And then exactly as it happens in 2026. By the end of this video, you might not be as certain as you think about which life you would actually choose. Let's begin. There is no alarm clock screaming you awake. Instead, a rooster crows somewhere outside. The first light of sunrise creeps through a small window. A family of 6 wakes up together in 1 or 2 rooms, sharing the warmth of a single fire that has been kept burning through the night. There is no rush. There is no checking a device. There is only the sound of birds outside, the smell of bread already baking, and the quiet shuffling of people getting dressed in the dim morning light. The father splits wood for the fire. The mother begins preparing the morning meal. The children, even the youngest ones, already have small chores waiting for them. Nobody asks, what's the plan for today? The plan has been the same every single day of their lives, and somehow that simplicity brings its own kind of peace. A phone alarm blares an aggressive tone that has been scientifically designed to jolt you out of sleep as efficiently as possible. Before your eyes are even fully open, your thumb is already moving toward the screen out of pure habit. 47 notifications are waiting. 3 emails marked urgent, even though it's not even 6 a.m. yet. A news alert about something happening on the other side of the planet, something you have zero control over. Yet somehow it still raises your heart rate. You haven't even stood up from bed, and your brain is already overwhelmed. Already comparing your life to dozens of strangers' curated highlight reels. Already anxious about a day that hasn't even started yet. What we gained: convenience, instant access to global information, the ability to know what's happening anywhere on Earth within seconds. What we lost: peace, the simple, sacred first 10 minutes of a day, untouched by the outside world, belonging only to you. The entire family sits together around one wooden table. This is not optional. This is not occasional. This is simply how every single morning begins. There is bread, fresh from the oven, eggs collected just an hour earlier from their own chickens, milk that came directly from their own cow, still slightly warm. There is no television, no radio in most homes, no phone. Conversation is the only entertainment available, and so conversation becomes an art form. The grandfather tells the same story he's told 100 times before, about the harsh winter of his childhood, and somehow, every single time, the children listen as if hearing it for the first time. These stories will never be written in any book. They exist only in memory, passed from mouth to mouth, from one generation directly into the next. Breakfast, if it happens at all, is often consumed standing at the kitchen counter, in a rush, while scrolling through a feed of strangers' curated lives. Family members may technically sit in the same room, but each person exists in a completely separate digital universe. The teenager is watching short videos. The father is responding to work messages that technically could wait until 9 a.m. The mother is scrolling through messages from a group chat. The grandfather, if he lives with the family, often sits in near silence, phoneless, watching everyone else exist somewhere else entirely, even though their bodies are sitting just 3 feet away from him. What we gained: endless entertainment, instant connection to anyone, anywhere in the world, at any moment. What we lost: the simple, profound art of actually being present with the people sitting directly in front of us.
A man walks 2 miles to reach the farm or the local factory. There is no car, no bus, no choice in the matter. His own 2 legs are his only transportation. By the time he arrives, his body has already moved more in 30 minutes than most people in 2026 will move during an entire week. His hands are calloused from years of physical labor. His back is strong. His lungs are clear from constant outdoor activity. There is no concept of exercise as a separate activity you schedule into your day. Physical movement simply is daily life itself. A man sits motionless in traffic for 45 minutes, completely alone in a metal box, increasingly frustrated, staring at a sea of brake lights ahead of him. He arrives at an office, sits down at a desk, and from this moment until lunch, his body will not move in any meaningful way whatsoever. By the end of the workday, he may have taken fewer than 2,000 steps total, a fraction of what was once considered a completely ordinary amount of daily movement. What we gained: physical safety, climate-controlled comfort, the ability to travel vast distances in mere minutes. What we lost: a body that moves the way it was naturally designed to move every single day. 12, sometimes 14-hour workdays were entirely normal. Brutal, repetitive physical labor in factories with absolutely no safety regulations whatsoever. Children as young as 8 or 10 years old worked alongside adults in dangerous conditions, often losing fingers, sometimes losing their lives to unsafe machinery. There was no minimum wage, no concept of overtime pay, no sick leave if you became injured or ill. This particular part of 1900 was genuinely horrific, and nobody with any sense should ever romanticize this reality. 8-hour workdays, legally protected and enforced. Comprehensive safety standards designed to prevent workplace injuries. A guaranteed minimum wage. Sick leave when you're unwell. Maternity and paternity leave for new parents. Laws specifically protecting children from exploitative labor. Compared to 1900, the modern worker possesses rights and protections that would have seemed like pure science fiction to someone living through the Industrial Revolution. What we gained: dignity, safety, fairness, legal protection from exploitation. What we lost: almost nothing in this particular category. This is one clear area where 2026 simply undeniably wins. A short break taken sitting beneath a tree. No phone exists to fill the silence. Just the sound of wind moving through leaves. Perhaps a brief conversation with a coworker about something genuinely mundane. Watching actual clouds drift across the actual sky. The mind rests completely during this time because there is absolutely nothing competing for its attention. Boredom in 1900 was not seen as a problem to solve. It was simply an accepted, normal part of being human. A break typically means switching from one screen to a smaller screen. 5 minutes scrolling through social media that paradoxically leaves you feeling somehow more mentally exhausted than before the break even started. Comparison, anxiety, and dopamine chasing replace genuine rest. The mind, in 2026, almost never experiences true, complete rest because there is always another notification, another video, another piece of content waiting just one tap away. What we gain: constant stimulation, access to infinite content at any moment we desire. What we lost: the simple, ancient human ability to do absolutely nothing and feel completely at peace with that nothingness. As the sun begins to set, the family reunites. Children run outside together until it becomes too dark to see clearly. Neighbors gather on porches, sharing news, laughter, and simple company. Community in 1900 was not a concept you had to actively pursue. It was simply the default condition of daily life. Real laughter, real, sustained eye contact, genuine, undivided attention given freely between people who lived their entire lives within walking distance of one another. Everyone returns home and almost immediately retreats into separate rooms, separate screens, separate digital experiences. The household exists together physically under one roof, yet each individual person is having an entirely different, isolated experience. True community now requires deliberate, conscious effort to maintain. Scheduling a call, planning a meetup weeks in advance, rather than simply existing as the natural, automatic byproduct of daily life. What we gained: privacy, personal space, individual freedom to choose exactly how we spend our time. What we lost: a natural, effortless sense of true togetherness that once required no scheduling at all. One single table, one shared meal, every family member present, every single night, without exception or excuse. This was never considered a special tradition. It was simply, unquestionably, how families functioned on a daily basis. Dinner is frequently eaten separately at different times, often in front of a screen, and sometimes skipped entirely due to busy, conflicting schedules. The once ordinary family dinner has become rare enough in 2026 that it's now treated as something special, rather than simply being the unremarkable default. What we gained: flexibility, the freedom of individual, personalized schedules. What we lost: a daily ritual that once quietly held entire families together. Night after night, year after year, soft candlelight flickers in the darkness. Perhaps a book, if you were fortunate enough to have learned to read. Quiet conversation, low voices in the dim light. By 9 p.m., true darkness and true silence settle over the household. Sleep comes easily and naturally because the mind has nothing remaining to process. A glowing screen sits mere inches from your face at midnight. Blue light deceives your brain into believing it's still the middle of the afternoon. Endless scrolling continues until your eyes physically begin to ache. Sleep, when it finally arrives, comes not from genuine rest, but from the sheer exhaustion of constant overstimulation. What we gained: endless entertainment, available at our fingertips, anytime we desire it. What we lost: the simple, ancient human right to a quiet, settled mind at the close of each day. So here is the uncomfortable truth that neither side of this comparison particularly wants to admit. The year 1900 was brutal, often painful, frequently short, frequently unfair, especially toward children, toward workers, toward anyone without wealth or power. No sane, rational person would genuinely choose to go back to limited medicine, complete absence of safety laws, and widespread child labor. But the year 2026 has quietly, almost invisibly, stolen something equally real and equally valuable from us: genuine presence, true stillness, deep, sustained conversation, the kind of boredom that allows your brain to actually wander and think, authentic connection that doesn't require a screen as an intermediary to even exist. We did not simply trade one difficult life for one perfect life. We traded one specific set of problems for an entirely different set of problems. The real question facing us isn't whether we should go back to 1900. The real question is this: can we hold on to the genuine, undeniable progress we've made, while consciously bringing back what we quietly lost along the way? Maybe the answer was never about choosing between 1900 or 2026. Maybe the answer is building a life that finally combines the very best of both worlds.